This is Andy Gutierrez from StarWars.com, and you are listening to Coffee with Kenobi with Dan Z. This is the podcast you're looking for.
This is James Arnold Taylor, and you're listening to Coffee with Kenobi. I have a good feeling about this.
Well, hello, my friends, and welcome back to another episode of CWK Live, a special show this week on Monday, December 11th. I am your host, Dan Zare, delighted to be talking Star Wars with each and every one of you. Well, it is a great day to chat with you. I am not doing the show on my normal Tuesday because it is my wife's birthday, so we are going to celebrate that. But I couldn't miss out on chatting with my Star Wars and Coffee with Kenobi family. Let's bring in some of our friends who are able to join us this evening. First, of course, my rock, Mary Purdue. Mary, happy Monday to you. Thank you so much for joining us. And I am so happy to see that you and David and Liberty and friends got to spend some time together. I love seeing our Star Wars community just spending time together. So thank you for sharing that. That was really great. Hello, Robert. Happy early CWK Day. Robert, it is great to see you, buddy. So excited to have you back on the show with us. And as people are trickling in, I will let you know what tonight's show is all about. It is top 5 moments from timeless heroes Indiana Jones and Harrison Ford. We've got the next step in our Aurebesh lessons. This is part 4. And of course, your comments and questions. So now let's take a look at what is brewing in the world of Star Wars this week.
And now, let's see what's brewing in the Star Wars universe this week.
So Mary says we had such an amazing weekend. Liberty and her mom are in the air returning home as we speak. That is great. So I remember one of the big things we had planned. I haven't heard about what happened yet, so I'm interested in following up with you on that, Mary. But in the meantime, we've got a little bit of Star Wars news, not a ton to share, but we've got enough to get the conversation going. This is one that Mason will be very excited about. By the way, thank you so much for your feedback on him being on the live show last week. That was a blast for me to chat with him live on the program. We've got, as you may, I don't know if you know this or not, I would know it if it wasn't for Mason being such a big Fortnite fan, but, excuse me, on Fortnite they do these massive updates pretty regularly, and the most recent one of the options for the game is now they have like a Lego section. It's sort of like Minecraft and Lego combined. There's even a little bit of Guitar Hero in there. It's pretty wild. But there are some Lego characters. A lot of the characters that are Fortnite characters have become Lego if you pick that option for the game. But there are a number of Fortnite Lego Star Wars characters, and I wanted to got a screen grab here, courtesy of our friends from Jedi News, James Burns and the gang. And so I grabbed this from him, and there's some really fun ones there, including Maul, the Ahsoka clone trooper, a couple other clone troopers. You can see Kylo Ren, a lot of great ones there, as well as some other franchises that you probably recognize. So there's that. Then we've got a new book coming out August 6, 2024. So we're a ways away from that, but it is by Stephen Barnes and it's called Mace Windu, The Glass Abyss. Now this sounds like it's going to be terrific. It takes place before Attack of the Clones, after Phantom Menace. And I'm pretty sure, if I understand the description correctly, it is Mace Windu dealing with the loss of Qui-Gon Jinn and seeing the lessons from him. And, I mean, that sounds great. You know, we don't get a ton of prequel stuff, and I think that's smart. And personally, I prefer the slow burn of that anyway, because it helps you sort of appreciate and dive in. But this is great, and it's going to be really fun to read. Looking forward to that. Again, we're a ways away, but when you get news and announcements like that, it's something to celebrate. So speaking of this, I wasn't able to get to this last week because the news posted after I had my stuff ready to go. But from April 5th to June 2nd of next year at Disneyland, we're going to have Star Wars Seasons of the Force, which means Space Mountain gets a Star Wars overlay. There's going to be special food and drinks, merchandising options, and this is all at Disneyland or select weekends that they're going to do that. And it sounds like it's going to be a ton of fun. We went to the one during Celebration Anaheim, 2 summers ago now, and it was terrific. And including if you've listened to the show for a while, or you listen to CWK Prover, it was Tom being on Big Thunder Mountain Railroad for the first time, Tom Gross, and that was an absolute treat for all of us who got to experience that. But we're looking forward to that. That's really, really cool. Robert says, interesting, we get a Mace Windu book that is canon. I know, which is very promising. Darren wants to know. Hello, Darren. Great to see you, buddy. Might this come to Disney World? You know, I hope it does. A lot of people have said that, Darren. I have not heard anything about it. But I think it'll be much appreciated. I think people would love to see it. I think we'll love to see it, and Robert agrees with that. All right, so I don't really have any merchandise news to celebrate, but we are going to jump into our Aurebesh lessons. As you know, each and every week I have been going through trying to learn. You know, again, the impetus for this was that I thought, for years I've thought, I really want to learn how to read Aurebesh. And then I thought, well, that's hard to do. When am I going to get the time to do that? How would I go about doing it? And then I thought, well, I am a teacher. Although I teach high school, there are still basic principles that are very much intact. And I'm sure Mary, as a retired teacher, would support me on this one. But why don't I teach it? Because I'll learn it. To me, the two easiest ways, at least the two most effective ways for me to learn has been to write about something or to teach it. So we're going to do both. And maybe you can teach your friends and family who are interested in this as well. So there was the letter A. I'm going to switch my camera over while we're doing this. It seemed to work okay last time, despite my shoddy camera work while I'm trying to write at the same time. Here we go. So last week we had the letter A, which again is which again is the letter right here at the top across. It is, as you can see, you go down, then you go left to right, and then you go up at a ramp to the right. And that's the top part. Bottom is the same way, upside down. I'm just going to start right here and do it again. But I highly encourage you, again, if you want to learn this, to get out a piece of paper and write along with us. So your A looks like a K. Draw the line down. And you go across. And then up diagonally at a slant. Oh, I'm sorry about that. I'm going to start over. There's no shame in making a mistake, right? So down. Up to down, left to right, and then a little slant. Same thing, but opposite. Do it upside down on top of itself, and that is an A. Not the best A you'll ever see. Look to the one on the actual screen itself, not on my video, to figure that out. Okay, and then we had, as we did last week, we did the letter B. And when I've been telling people, this one looks like draw a line. You basically make what looks like an 8-bit hamburger or cheeseburger. Little dash in the middle. That is the B. I think it's important to continue to write this stuff over and over again. That's how you learn it. So that was B. And then a new one last week was the letter C. The letter C is interesting because it's just a series of lines straight up and down, perpendicular with one another. So you draw one tall line, then you go into about the middle of the line, and you start at the middle and draw down, and then you go over to the right one more, start at the same point, and then go to where you were halfway, and then go all the way down. And that's a C. All right, so I did that a number of times over and over and over again. Robert says, writing the letters is very effective. I took Russian in middle school, and the teacher had us write the letters over and over. To this day, I can still read it. I can't understand it, but I can read it. Well, how interesting. That's cool, Robert, and I'm glad to know that it is something that is effective for you. So there is A, B, and C. So now it is time, of course, to go to the letter D. Letter D is going to be interesting to write. And I haven't done this. I purposely wait until we're doing it together. It looks like a 7, but really kind of a stylized 7, where the line left to right is normal, but then you go left to right, or you go diagonally down, and go past, actually go back to about the main starting point down here. And then halfway up on this diagonal line, you draw a line across. And that is a D. That is an Aurebesh D. I'm going to try that again. Just my standard. I'm sorry about this camera. I really am. I don't know why it wants to make itself go sideways. Whatever. Okay. Let's try this. So you get the line across, left to right. Make a very stylized 7. Go down at an angle. but not past where your original starting point was up top. Yeah, that looks about right. And then you draw a line across. So that is AD. So you're going to do that over and over and over again. And you will be able to read the letter D. Now, if you watch my unboxing for the Canon Juris lightsaber, then I talked about the fact that some of the case on the top I was able to start reading because of these lessons. Now the rest you can just figure out, just like you're playing Wheel of Fortune or something like that. But it was really fun. So there is, again, the letter D. I think, again, it is very, very, very effective. I try to write about 5 to 10 of these a day. And A, B, and especially A and B are like old hats because I've written them so many times over the past, it's been almost a month since we started this. So yeah, one a week for 4 weeks, A, B, C, D. So I highly encourage you to write your A's, B's, and C's consistently. In fact, I'm going to do it now while I'm thinking about it because it's kind of a great way to do it. It's almost like constructive doodling, if you want to think of it that way. There's my A, there's my B, there's my C, and now my D. It just feels good. A, B, C, D. And as you're reading it to yourself, as you can see across the bottom, I just keep saying A, B, C, D. A, B, C, D, A, B, C, D, over and over and over again. And eventually, it becomes just familiar to you. And it really does work. It really does work. The example I've used before is, for years and years, I had my students memorize To Be or Not To by Hamlet. I still know it by heart. That's because I just repetition. That repetition, it becomes like almost like a muscle memory type of a thing. Because you can think of your brain like a muscle, though it's technically not a muscle. But it's a similar concept, and I think it's very, very effective. All right, so there is that. Now we're going to go ahead and jump into our topic for today, which is our top 5. Our top 5 is something that I am delighted to talk about. Let's just jump into it. The top 5 is our top 5 moments from this wonderful, wonderful documentary that is on Disney Plus right now. The documentary is Timeless Heroes, Indiana Jones, and Harrison Ford. Hopefully you got a chance to watch it and get your list ready to join us. I didn't get a chance to watch it till today. And boy, oh boy, am I glad that I did. And I'm going to revisit this several times because it was really, 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 really delightful to experience because it is an experience. I love, like all of you, that are fans of Coffee with Kenobi, that are fans of Star Wars, that are fans of popular culture, that are fans of cinema and movies. I love Harrison Ford. I love him. And there's so much, oh gosh, I'm just smiling. There's so much magic in this documentary, which we will talk about. But it really, to me, it really brings out a lot of what this guy is. And let's just get into it right now. Okay, number 5 for me was the Raiders' origins. So most of us, I would assume, know the origins of Raiders of the Lost Ark, how that film came together, the classic casting. But I can't get enough of that. I love that a really great story has a mythology of itself. The creation of Superman, for example, is a terrific mythology. The creation of Star Wars is a legendary mythology. And the creation of Indiana Jones and Raiders of the Lost Ark is also a terrific, fascinating mythology. But hearing these guys talk about it as older men, and reminiscing and just celebrating and smiling authentically about the memories of this a landmark moment, not only for us as fans of movie and pop culture, but for them as artists, as actors, as directors, as screenwriters, as musicians, producers. It's just so great, and I love seeing it. 5 for Robert. Harrison's always needing to put his head on himself. You know, that was a really cool moment, too, because he gets it. He knows how to do it. It's him. So it's pretty cool to see. Mary's number 5. Young Indiana Jones chronicles behind the scenes and snippets of the show. I watched this when it was on originally, and I enjoyed it very much. Need to go back and rewatch them all. Mary, I still have never seen these. And maybe that would be a fun rewatch to do. I don't know. I've thought about it. But I like seeing that too. And seeing, I don't know how much Harrison's actually in that sequence. It's probably just really quick. But seeing it like that and seeing him embrace it adds a stamp of authenticity that is unmatched, to me. Let's see. Other people maybe didn't get a chance to watch it or come up with their top 5, which is totally fine. As you know, whether it's now live with me or you're listening to the show on the podcast feed or you're getting a chance to check it out later on our Facebook page or on our YouTube channel, there's still a chance to comment. You can go into the CWK Cafe, which is our Facebook group. It is a wonderful community, and it is just a ton of fun pictures, images, thoughts. It's positive, it's family friendly, it's spoiler free. So whether you're, again, watching with us now live or you want to catch up later, you can certainly add your top 5 there when you get a chance. Mary says, Dan, you need to watch them. He's only in a snippet of the show. River Phoenix was so good. Wait, River Phoenix is in it too? Really? Okay. Even cooler. I know it's, there's a kid actor who plays Indy, and then there's the older one who's Sean Patrick Flannery, and he's good too. But I know River Phoenix was in that too. So that, unless you're talking about Last Crusade, the opening, because I liked that so much too. So let's go to number 4. I'm babbling. It's really not a good quality to host, is it? Harrison discovers acting. This, I think, is essential to embracing who Harrison Ford is. He's got a certain kind of a demeanor that they play with, as far as him being gruff or grumpy or whatever. But he, like so many amazing talents, I think it's fascinating that he was a shy kid. He felt out of place. And that's relatable. Like, we've all felt that at some point in our lives. I know I did when I was younger, definitely. And to see someone who's like just big and just powerful tour de force of an actor and a person and a persona, a clout unlike many actors in the history of Hollywood, to see that he was a shy, insecure person that found his people in the theater, I really liked that. I don't know that I needed to hear that, but then I heard it and I'm like, I needed to hear that. You know what I mean? It was really cool. Just gave him such a human quality, because for many of us, he's a larger than life figure. So seeing that meant a lot to me. Number 4 for Robert, Harrison Ford, Ke Huy Quan, and Kate Capshaw with their ice cream cones in the minecart. That was delightful, wasn't it? That was so delightful. David is here. What's up, David? He says Harrison's early struggles with depression in school, but sticking with it and succeeding. Yes, exactly. That's my number 4. David, I don't know if you got a chance to hear the beginning, but I told Mary how wonderful it was to see a picture of you and Liberty and Mary together and Chaz. It was just so delightful. Liberty's mom. I love seeing that. I love seeing that. I love seeing our community out in the wild, so to speak. So good. All right. Let's see. Anybody else have a number 4 that they would like to share? I want to give you a chance to do so. If you are so inclined. David said, so good to see them. Yeah, it looked like it was fun. Looked like a great time. I don't. No one else has posted their number 4, which is totally fine. So I am going to jump on to number 3. And if you, of course, want to jump back on that. Oh, here we go. Mary's number 4, Ke Huy Quan and Kate Capshaw really did a fantastic job. And speaking of Harrison Ford, the person and the actor, you could tell how authentically they felt about him. I agree. That really came through to me as well. It was really, really charming, really delightful, and really heartwarming. Number 3, Ford and Spielberg. I love this. I knew what big fans they were of each other, but seeing them collaborate behind the scenes, there were a lot of scenes and footage from Star Wars and Raiders and the other indie films that I've never seen before. I think a lot of them have never been unearthed, and I'm using that purposefully because we're talking about Indiana Jones. Unearthed, thank you very much. And seeing their collaboration and seeing the incredible respect they have for one another and seeing the passion and Spielberg letting Harrison kind of, make it up as he goes, so to speak. I did it again. And seeing them bring out the best in each other, I really found that terrific. Really terrific. David's number 4 is Harrison's early thoughts that Star Wars would be a success. And how he thought it'd just be for kids. He didn't know that adults would like it. And yeah. And no one could have predicted what Star Wars was, obviously. Number 3 for Robert, the audition of other actors for Raiders, and considering what we might have gotten instead, I think it would have been a totally different movie. I do too. Sure, it would have been cool. I'm sure it would have been, significant or formulative for many, but not like this. Because Harrison is just this. He's a movie star. He's a movie star. There aren't a lot of movie stars left, and he is one of them. Number 3 for David, aging being woven into the script as a strength of the movie and not a weakness. I like that too, David. This stays away from the concept of ageism and embraces getting older and experience, and I think that's terrific. Number 3 for Mary, Sean Connery and the love of Last Crusade by everyone. Loved it when Spielberg said it was definitely his second favorite after Raiders. Crusade is my favorite of them all. I remember that. We were covering all the Indiana Jones films, so that was good. That was cool to see that, and Mary, I thought you would be a fan of that too. Let's go ahead and jump into number 2. Number 2, I meant to put a question mark there, but I must have been a typo. But there's a nice sequence where they talk about his success didn't come until he was in his 30s. And it says, live a life before becoming a movie star. And I think that was a quote that Harrison said, or maybe it was Kathleen Kennedy. Can't remember off the top of my head which person said it. I think it's a great lesson. In my experiences and with the students I see and just in my own personal life, I don't think I was quite ready for life, at least me personally, until I was in my early 30s. And Harrison is very much the same way. And Kathleen Kennedy did talk about, who knows what his life will be like. But by the time he got all this fame and success, he was already older, so he could handle it and process it differently. And I think that's so true. Like, we have to be patient with ourselves and allow ourselves to grow and mature and struggle a little bit. And it's just cool to see, again, much like my number 4, that this incredible tour de force of a personality and a performer, he was happy. And I mean, he didn't say this, but I'm just going to say blessed that when he did find success, he was older. So he had a different way to kind of process and filter it and let it grow and prosper. And I think there's a lot of wisdom in that. I really think there is. Number 2 for Robert, all the clips from the old TV shows and movies that Harrison Ford was in before he was well known. I also love that. There were many of those that I'd never seen, just about all of them. And that was terrific. That was just terrific. Number 2 for David, the way James Mangold talks about time, how we should enjoy each moment because it goes by so fast. And that is true. That is absolutely true. And I thought, again, there's such a healthy way to embrace life in all facets of life and different stages of life. And I thought that was really terrific. Mary's 2, the movie Witness Behind the Scenes, probably my 3rd favorite movie of Harrison's, behind all the Star Wars and Indiana Jones movies. It's one of those movies I will sit down and watch no matter where it is in the film when I find it on TV. This may surprise you. I've not seen Witness. And there's a good reason why. I am one of these people that purposefully saves classic Harrison Ford movies because at some point he's not going to make them anymore. So I just kind of, like I just watched Blade Runner for the first time a few months ago because I saved these because I love Harrison so much that I want to parse it out and get to experience a new, older Indiana or Harrison Ford movie when he was younger for the first time. So that's why I haven't. But Witness is definitely next on my list because I just think that looks like a good movie that I would like. Mary's a 2A, all the snippets of so many of his most successful movies. That was fun too. And you're the first person, I think, in history to have a 2A on your list on Facebook. So that's fun. Mary says she saw Witness in theaters when it was first released, but you're old. No, it's not the years, it's the mileage, Mary. Only as old as you feel. I refuse to believe that you are old. But you are wise. Let's go to number 1. Number 1 for me, where's my little drum roll? Harrison Ford's humor. It's throughout this whole thing. He's really funny. He's got this wonderfully dry wit. He delivers things so beautifully, and it's very contagious. Even when he was younger, throughout his whole life, what he's like on set, what he's like with his friends, how he's very much great at boundaries and being really sarcastic. And look, I'm not even going to pretend to say that I know Harrison Ford, but I did have the good fortune to meet him and talk to him for about a good 5-6 minutes, and I experienced that. I made him laugh. He made me laugh, and just saying it out loud, like, it's hard to explain. And this isn't like a humble brag, because it's not. It really isn't. I am insanely blessed to even get 5 minutes with that man. Insanely blessed. And I don't deserve it, but I'm happy that it happened. And he was so cool. This show, guys and girls and friends, Timeless Heroes, Indiana Jones and Harrison Ford, this show really made me feel just a little bit of a glimpse what would it have felt like to be in his presence because of the humanity, because of the humor, because of the sarcasm and the wit, and the self-deprecating fun humor that is Harrison Ford. It's just, I'm telling you, my friends, watching this, you get an idea of what it really is like to talk to him. It's great. It's great. It makes me so happy. I know I like this even more because of that. I would have liked it anyway, and I hope that makes sense. It just really captured what it feels like to be around him, even for a brief moment. And again, there's no way I know him at all. But for 5 minutes, when I was chatting with him, I felt like we were buddies talking. And we had a very similar kind of sense of humor about certain things, and it was just terrific. All right, I'll stop babbling about that now, but it meant a lot to me that he put that into this documentary because I want you to get to experience that. And you might someday in person. If you don't, this is a really beautiful close second. And I love it. Love it. Mary's number one. The beginning of the show, when he talks about his beginnings and acting in the scenes from the various shows he was in, he seems to be so honest and thoughtful as you reminisced. Exactly. He's very honest. And when he says, he says, I don't have fans, because he doesn't like that. I don't think he says, I have customers and I got to make customers happy. That's cool. He doesn't look at acting the way that we do. He doesn't look in the mirror and say, I'm Harrison Ford. He's like, I'm Harrison Ford. He's a guy. And he loves what he does. And everybody just happens to see it. You nailed it, Mary. You absolutely nailed it. Robert's number one. Harrison, quote, you have a sense of responsibility to your customers. Yes, he doesn't forget his fans and how he got where he is. Pretty cool. Isn't it great? And that really very much comes through. David, knowing how Dan, Mary, and my dad are teachers and how these movies, Harrison Ford and Indiana Jones, have inspired young people to be archaeologists and teachers. Yes. That made me happy too. And seeing Thomas Riddle from Star Wars in the Classroom there was a huge delight. Very happy to see that. If I had revised this a little bit more, I think this sequence where the black woman talked about being an archaeologist and how that this movie and things like it have helped to shed a light on it, and how many people have been drawn to the profession, including black women. And that was great. That was so cool and inspiring to see. And again, art imitates life and life imitates art. And it was terrific, absolutely terrific to see that. Mary says Greg was also a huge indie fan, wanted really to share his thoughts this evening, but wasn't able to jump on. He says one of his favorite things about the special was the test footage for Raiders. So it was interesting to see Tom Selleck and Sean Young in the test scenes. That was great. I love seeing that too. I feel like in one of the DVDs, they had clips of that. I can't remember if that's where I saw it before or not. But seeing Tom Selleck like that, I think he was a little too gruff in that scene, but I could also see a little bit of that swagger. And then again, it's just a read. The reads don't always translate when it even actually happens in the movie. But I agree, and I know Greg is a huge indie fan. I've loved talking Indiana Jones with him, just like I love talking indie with all of you. So thank you, everybody. That was terrific. And get a chance to talk about this terrific documentary. Wonderful, wonderful sharing it with you, whether you're hearing it now live with us on the live show, or you're watching it later on YouTube or Facebook, or listening to the audio of it. But next week, we've got a new top 5. I recently saw that we've been promised that at the start of the new year, we're going to start getting news and information about Star Wars Celebration in 2025 in Japan. Now, it's a ways away, of course. But if you could talk to Lucasfilm, what would you say are your top 5 things you want from Star Wars Celebration in 2025? So come up with a list. What are the top 5 things you would want to see from Star Wars Celebration in 2025? Get your list ready and join us next week. We will be back on our normal time next Tuesday at 7 o'clock p.m. Central Standard Time. So now it is time to ask Dan Z. All right. So again, next Tuesday at 7 o'clock p.m. Central Standard Time is going to be the next CWK Live. And I think that'll be our last one. No, it won't be our last one before the Christmas. No, I think let's see. What is the schedule like? We're so close to Christmas, aren't we? I'm going to pull up my happy little calendar here and see where we're at. So yeah, next week is going to be on the 19th. And then the week after that is the day after Christmas. So there's literally just one more CWK Live before Christmas time. Well, that's crazy. Isn't that crazy? It's going so fast. There's still so many Christmas movies I haven't got a chance to watch yet or enjoy. That's okay. I think it's all going to work out. The Force will be with us because we are an amazing community full of so many great Star Wars fans that just love life, love celebrating this saga so far away, but yet it's not far away because we get to celebrate together each and every week, not only on CWK Live, but also on the podcast, on our Facebook group, the CWK Cafe, on Twitter, other social media, all those good things, and I can't do it without each of you and your support. What is my next Christmas movie on my list? So I usually like to start with Holiday Inn with Bing Crosby and Fred Astaire, so I'm hoping to get to that one. I know Deanna likes to watch The Holiday every year, which I love, with Jude Law and Cameron Diaz too. So that's good. Mary says, have a wonderful week, everyone. I really need to think about next week's top 5. Yeah, what do you want to see at Star Wars Celebration in Japan? Whether you're going or not, what would be a really cool thing for you to see? I've got plenty of ideas, but I would like to hear yours as well. Well, that is going to do it for this week's quick CWK Live. Thank you so much for joining me. Thank you so much for being a part of this community and adding to the community and conversation, commenting, following along, spreading the word about what we've got going on in the CWK Cafe or anywhere else. And we need to share our Star Wars trees, our Star Wars Christmas holiday decorations. I'd love to see them. Please post them. Don't forget to practice your Aurebesh this week. I'm drawing my 7 right now, which is not a 7. It's a D. See, I haven't quite ingrained it into my brain yet. Practice makes perfect. Thank you so much, everybody. I will see you next time. Remember, this is the live podcast you're looking for. Thank you so much, my friends. See you real soon.
This podcast is not endorsed by the Walt Disney Company or Lucasfilm Limited. It is intended for entertainment and informational purposes only. The official Star Wars website can be found at www.starwars.com. Star Wars, all names, sounds, and any other Star Wars-related items are registered trademarks and/or copyrights of Disney and their respective trademark and copyright holders. All original content of this podcast is the intellectual property of Coffee with Kenobi unless otherwise indicated.
This is the podcast you're looking for.
There's no one here.